All right, we are live. Welcome to this Sunday's edition of this of my live stream painting demo. My name is Evan Schumacher, and this week we're going to be continuing a piece that started last week and spent a couple hours working on this, and I actually ended up running into some difficulty towards the end with the face. I think I just kind of I needed to take some time away from it and come back and maybe find a better solution for the problems I was experiencing there. So yeah, we're just gonna dive into it today and see if we can bring this piece to a finished state, and otherwise just kind of mess around and have fun with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But this is live, and so I'm gonna try to make it work to the best of my ability here. So yeah, and I think we have a pretty good base here to kind of work off of. So yeah, let's just dive right in here. Hi, Viera. Nice to see you here. There we go. I got my comments up here on the other screen. And let me just check, see if my brightness is all the way up. I kind of choose a weird time to do this because I get a bit of glare from the sun behind me, but I think it'll be okay. All right. So we have a few different layers here. I can't remember. Oh, yeah. That's the before and after face. I'm going to go ahead and merge that down so I never have to see that again. Yeah, basically, I mean, if you haven't seen part one, the link is in the description there. But yeah, I spent a decent amount of time working on this face and just wasn't having any success with it. And then I just ended up going in and painting over all of it with a bit more of a rough hand. And so I'm actually just going to leave that alone for a minute and try to develop some other parts of this painting before I get too detailed there. And really the best way to do that, I have no plan of attack here, but I'm just going to start. And we'll see where this goes. Kind of start mapping out some of the clothing features and things here. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to jump back into a painting like this. At least I find it's a bit tough to do, especially if you were having some difficulties during the last time you worked on it. But where I was going with that was where was I going with that? Oh yeah, you just gotta jump in. Just gotta jump in, make some marks, because it's not going to improve if you don't do anything to it. So here we are. Oh, I'm glad to hear the face looks fine. I think I think it does look fine. I think what I ended with was a lot better than what I had earlier on in that stream. It was pretty bad by my standards, I would say, but it all depends upon upon who you are. I think it just wasn't working for me, and yeah, I kind of did a paint over on top of it with some more loose strokes, and I think it came out a bit better that way. I got some nice color in there. I defined my planes a bit more clearly, and I think part of the issue I was having was that I was going in. Well, first of all, I zoomed in too close. I think a bit too soon, and I also did I was trying to define a lot of like sharp shadows on the face when, based on this lighting source, there really wouldn't be too many. In fact, it would be sort of almost a little overexposed or something like that. You know, there shouldn't be too many shadow areas here. It should just be kind of brightness and then some highlights, sort of like what I've set up here. The next step will be to figure out how I can articulate that with a bit more specificity and detail. And with some more clear lines and shapes and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think she looks okay for now. I think there's always room to improve here. So I'm gonna try to take advantage of that and try to improve it. So here we are. I'll just flip it because I'm pretty used to that. And I think I'm seeing some weird things with the face when it's kind of facing this direction. So I'm definitely gonna go back to that, but I don't want to kind of hyperextend my focus, or not, that's not the right word. I don't want to sort of drain my focus on one area. I think when the solution is there, it will come. I'm gonna just adjust this silhouette a little bit too. Kind of create a bit more clarity in the body shape. Not really sure how I want to design the clothing at this point, but you'll see. I think I'm actually just gonna do a bit of a weird move here. Seems a little forward balance, so I'm just gonna pull this back, sort of increase the S-curve factor of that pose. And you know what, I kind of like the way the silhouette changed because of that, so I'm just gonna keep that that little part that's jutting out there. Maybe build on that a little bit as well. Something about this arm isn't quite looking right, but I'm sure we'll figure out what that is as we move forward. Might be useful to make some more clearly defined shapes here. of like that. I kind of like the outfit that's developing here. And the pose is looking a bit more natural, I think. Not quite sure about these proportions yet, but I'll just keep adjusting and seeing what looks right. And I know I said I was going to keep that little silhouette change, but I feel like it was looking like the back of the elbow almost extended back there, because there's not enough light over here to really convey much more information. So I don't want to make the silhouette too difficult to read. And all this is kind of unnecessary here. I'm almost seeing some kind of draping things going on here. Just want to make sure that's I'm going to just experiment with a little bit. I still want it to be readable from the silhouette. And I think that kind of interrupts the motion of it. So we're not going to do that. Just gonna reinforce that rim lighting here. That's gonna give us a nice dramatic effect. I guess it wouldn't be so apparent down here. I don't want it to be totally equal throughout. I want it to be much stronger where the light is hitting more directly. So maybe not so much down here. Put a little more here. And then also along the back of the head here. Just gonna pick from that purple in the background. I just want this flesh tone to stand out a bit from the rest of the shadows, because it is brighter. Maybe that is the wrong color to use there, but I don't know, it looks okay. We'll see. It's sort of a strange lighting circumstance, because typically light is either blue or some form of warm tone if it's from the sun, or anything like that. So working with the green lighting, especially on skin tones, which are usually some form of warm tone, like red or orange or yellow, it's interesting to think about. how to calculate your colors accordingly. And I think this, I don't know, these kind of shoulder plate things will be a bit more reflective than the cloth, so we're just going to dial up that a little bit. Sort of shape those out. Not sure what those are, but just part of the costume, just something that looks cool. We can even extend this a bit. I kind of like where this is going. Just sort of a strange shape, a bit otherworldly. Maybe I'm going a little crazy with it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just fun to kind of go in and design these things sometimes. Oh, hey there, Nick. Nice to see you here. Hockey's cool, sure. I'm not a huge sports guy myself, but I understand the appeal. I don't know. This whole thing's starting to look a bit weird. I want to make sure it contours the body a bit better here. That's a bit better. Make sure there are shadows where it's appropriate. I think I might just get rid of this little thing here. To be honest. It's looking a bit strange. Play out this hair a little bit, see what happens here. Try to make some interesting shapes with that. Have it catching the light every now and then too. That kind of thing. That's kind of cool. It almost looks like, in fact, I might want to play that up a little bit. Almost like the wind from the door is coming in and sort of blowing the hair a little bit. Or as if the, it definitely helps the motion of the painting. So I'm just going to play that up a little bit. Nice. I think that's looking better. A bit more reflection on the hair here and there. Maybe that's a bit too much. Um, okay, I think it's time to go back to our reference here and see if we might make use of it. I'm gonna try to be a bit more careful about how I'm setting up the lighting and the shadows and everything. It's not gonna be quite the same as with our as with the lighting setup we have here in the image, but it's close enough, and I think we have enough information to start defining these features. And I think, like I said, for the most part, we're gonna have a pretty even distribution of light across this whole face. So I think representing that will help us to maintain clarity in our representation here. I'm just going to dial down the intensity of the screen a little bit, since it is being reflected onto skin tones here and there, just to get a little variety. Just so it doesn't look like her skin is actually green here. Especially around the areas where it's transitioning into shadow. I'm darkening it, and I'm bringing it closer to gray. Then we have the mouth plane here, which is sort of facing upward a little bit, but is still receiving some of this light. And I'm going to go in with my sketcher here. See if I can't clarify some of these shapes, some of the lines. We want to be very, very careful with the strokes we put down here. Or at least I do, because I don't have quite as much experience as I would like with this kind of thing, so I have to be. A lot of it doesn't come completely automatically, so I have to be very careful, very conscious. All right, Vera. Yeah, nice to see you here, popping in, and feel free to check it out later. Have a good night. Oh yeah, I think this is looking much better already. Well, we will have the barest hint of a shadow here where the nostrils are. And then above, this is probably the only place where we'll actually see a real shadow. It's right here on the nose. And I'm Switching up the hue a little bit. Also, get some of the, they're typically more reds around this area, as well as around the cheeks. I won't worry about that so much right now. I mean, really the most important thing, oh, that's my phone. 1 minute. Fun ringtone, right? Oh yeah, makes you want to dance. Hey Danny, welcome. All right. So I'm kind of just using straight color to I'm not blending anything right now. I'm using this sketching brush to just be pretty decisive about the shapes of color I'm trying to put down here. And I'm basically just looking at the planes of the face in this image and trying to visualize how light would be hitting them just a little bit differently in this case, because the light is at a slightly different angle. So I'm not going to try to map the shadows and lighting to in the same way. I am, however, going to attempt to match the proportions and the way these eyes are positioned. I'm just picking some colors from the rest of it. Kind of looks like a bit of a demon right now because I haven't given her irises. That could be cool, actually. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep that. We'll see. Maybe I want to widen the eyes a little bit too, just so. Just so we can convey an expression of wonder a little bit. I'll have this little green highlight where the light source is reflected there. And I actually am going to grab my mixer brush tool here, just because I'm seeing a spot that might benefit from some smoothing out. And then I'm going to go back to my drawing brush, sort of reinforce. This is going to be definitely more of a shadowed area here. I'm going to reinforce the upper edge of the eye to make it read a bit better from a distance, and also give it sort of an eyeliner effect. Capture the under eyelid part here as well. I think overall it's already looking loads better. Just gonna push the iris over a little bit. With these eyes, it's just always these really fine adjustments. We are so sensitive to how they're positioned and how they're depicted. So I think that's pretty good for now. I'm gonna bring back in her eyebrow where we lost it before. And again, I'm not necessarily trying to capture this reference exactly. I do want this character to have her own distinct features and personality and everything. But it's providing me a lot of very useful information. And there I go again, trying to create shadows where there may not be some, but maybe there would. I don't think so. I think we can just go in, just smooth this all right out. And later we can, well, why not right now, actually. Let's just go in and oh good, we got some hockey banter going on Facebook. It's good. I know nothing of the sport, but seems cool. I actually learned how to ice skate when I was a kid. I actually meant to get a pair to do some pond skating this year, but the moment escaped me. I'm just smoothing this out. Over here as well. I think maybe I actually will drop these eyelids down a little bit, just so it sort of makes it look like she's looking down. And again, kind of from out here, it doesn't even make too much of a difference, but I actually think I will want to enlarge this a little bit. You can do all kinds of funky things with eyeballs if you move them around. But I'll save that for another day. For now, I'm just gonna try to make this woman look human-ish. This is kind of a strange spot because it sort of transitions from light into shadow in a very strange way here. Just want to make sure I capture that. I think that the eye is pretty good for now. We might come back to that once we have more context to work with here. And let's go to the other one now. Make sure we're shapes right. Get the eyebrow right. And then just a matter of that set up. Actually, I think it's going to be a bit more shadow around the upper lid. Okay. Under eyelid here. Shadow where the top lid meets the bottom of the brow. I think I just need to zoom in for a second here so I can make that line as clear as possible. Yep. Probably have to pop that. See if I can warp this a little bit. Copy paste. Maybe enlarge it a little bit just so it's more readable from a distance. All right, moment of truth here. Flip it, and yeah, it looks a little weird. As expected. sort of hard to let me try that again. To get it to read well from a distance as well as from close up. So that's sort of what I'm trying to tweak right here. Okay. Not too bad, I think. Might flip this eye. Just gonna bring that a bit closer. I think I might have something that is good enough for now. And that's great actually. That's what I try to do with everything in my art, is just get it good enough for now. You can always go back to it later, but sometimes it's hard to know in the moment if it's working or not, so. I think I'm really close with this left eye, but it's not quite there. It's a little bit down. Turn it just a bit this way. Just a bit more. Accidentally just undid what I just did. So let me do it again. All right. Good enough. Let's keep moving. And yeah, I mean, I am spending quite a bit of time on this face here, and maybe a bit too much in terms of the proportions of the overall process. But it is a very important feature of this painting. It's the main focal point, I would say. And so we do want to get that as right as we can before going into too much detail elsewhere. And again, I'm just getting this, all these highlights, or the full light areas. I want them to be pretty evenly lit here. Flip this actually, so I'm actually using my reference. And I think I'm going to give these this mouth a bit more attention here. Get the shapes right. Make sure all that's working together. Silhouette of the face. And I know it looks a little flat right now. We're gonna bump in some highlights as well to give it a bit more three-dimensionality in a minute here. I have a bit of ambient reflected light around here. And yeah, there's really not too much need to go into much detail with the teeth. I'm gonna do a bit of highlighting on the lip here. Hey there, Jose. Welcome. I'm just getting a bit lost in some of these facial details here before I move on to the rest of the painting. Getting real zoomed in here. Getting a bit too wrapped up in this section. So I'm just gonna sort of go in here and give something close to what I think is right, and then we will move on. It's nice actually being somewhat publicly accountable for this, because you know, ordinarily I might get a bit too if you can believe it, even more fixated on certain details, and It's not always going to be helpful for a painting. Yeah, and if it were anything else, I might really, put quite a bit of time and even more time into developing details like this. But yeah, my goal is to have something finished for you guys by the end of this session here. So I'm just gonna keep moving it along, or so I keep telling myself. Sometimes if you, this is a really useful digital tool if you're not totally sure about how things are positioned, or, making these small tweaks to the facial features can be really easy with the, the various digital manipulation tools, the lasso, the selections. Making small adjustments there can really be a huge help. Just gonna add, there's gonna be a bit of reflected light down here. It's gonna be a bit duller, a bit darker along the jawline. Still think there's something that's not quite working with the eyes, but also one thing I should do real quick is just the ratio of the lips. It's a bit too even, and we want, in most people, the bottom lip is slightly larger, slightly thicker, more defined than the top lip. So just want to take that into account. Otherwise, I think this is looking great. She's shaping up real nicely. And I think it's time to sort of wrap this section up with some highlights. I'm going to use the dry brush here. I'm just going to imagine that our light source is in its final stages, in which it will have a bit more of a white center glow. So it'll be a bit brighter, a bit more powerful overall. And first I'm just sort of going in and smoothing out a few things. Where it's needed. A little bit of texture here and there on the face. I think most of this here is just going to be directly lit, except for the very top, where the hair is casting a little bit of a shadow here. And then, let's sort of take our green highlight here and just pump it up a little bit in the value. And it's not going to be quite as, that might even be a bit too intense. Actually, let's keep it there and let's just lower the opacity just so we can dial this in very smoothly. Any area where the planes of the face are directly angled towards this light source. Will be the bottom of the brow here, as well as beneath the eyebrows, even a little bit here. Definitely here, along here. And the cheeks are angled down as well. And most of the face, the nose a little bit there, but it's not going to be quite as bright as it will be along this highlight here. And along here, sort of this part of the cheek. Maybe that's all a bit too intense. Don't want to overdo it with these highlights, but and let's just go right into those eyes, since those are going to be the most reflective part of the face here. You want to have just little miniature reflections within them, as well as maybe along the top part of the eyelid, anywhere where it's going to be catching that light. Maybe not because of the eyelash, but then maybe the tip of the nose a little bit more, and I think along here. Lips are usually more reflective. And then lastly, a little bit on the chin. I think these lips ended up coming off a little bit too strong, so I'm just going to dial those back a bit. Okay. Something's still a little bit off here. Sure exactly what it is, but maybe we'll come back and find out later. So let's go back down here. Start defining some more of these areas. I think this maybe what I do often is make the face a bit too small. So I'm going to try something a bit radical here. That is too small for the size of the head that it occupies. So let's do something a little wild here. See if that reads any better. Not really. But maybe... yeah, something a little strange that I can't quite put my finger on here. But I think it is time to move on. So I'm going to take this ear, bring it back a little bit. I think that was a bit too far out. Could be the shape of the jaw here as it relates to the rest of it. I look like Julia Roberts here. Maybe there needs to be a bit of shading here, where there isn't any direct light hitting. Might be what I'm seeing. Try to bring back in some of those skin tones we may have lost along the way. Maybe that's a bit overkill. Let's keep working on the hair here. That might have done it. pull this in just a little bit. It's a bit better. Right, and I wanted to give her this sort of interesting hairstyle here as well. I think overall maybe we need to, maybe not. I'll leave it for now. Maybe take down her head size a little bit. I like to keep these nicely defined angles and lines here. Sometimes having shapes defined in this more polygonal way can help them read better. So that's why you'll see me using some of those kind of maybe unnaturally, but naturally so, but fairly straight-edged shapes, that kind of thing. Nice. think we can do away with her for a minute. Start including some of the skin tones we used up there down here as well. Yeah, I can always might be a bit extreme. Yeah, if I want to later on, I may go in and just put some serious time into making a lot of these tweaks to the facial proportions there. But let's just keep going. Some of you have expressed that you would rather see the piece from start to finish, which is why I am doing all this as a part 2 and not just as me finishing the piece on my own time. But I do have to take into account that I have to stop every now and then and do other things, sustain the body as one does. What a hindrance. All right, let's return to this this background a bit as well. See if we can just start ramping up the detail here and make sure this is all equally developed. I mean, not all of it has to be, but at least especially the places around focal points and that kind of thing. Make this develop this ominous figure a little bit. Don't want to give them too much definition because I want to leave a bit of mystery in the silhouette, and I think a lot of the information needed for the piece is sort of conveyed through the pose itself. Yeah, glad to hear you're digging the edge control. Yeah, I do try to create a deliberate contrast between hard edges and soft edges and that kind of thing. And sometimes that just means sort of just leaving certain areas a bit more undeveloped than others. You can create the illusion of unfocus by sort of keeping a lot of your original brushstroke work and that kind of stuff. So or you can always if you've dialed in too much detail, you can or across the whole thing, you can always go back in and with a smudge tool or mixer brush or something like that, and deliberately lose certain details. Suppose I did say I was going to develop this a little bit more, so let's just go in and make some interesting things happening here. That's always the fun part, doing little effects like this. But I do want to take all this, sort of squish it back a bit. I think her arms are looking a bit too long right now. is going on here? That makes some weird layers. Oh shit, what did I just do? Nope. Yeah, I gotta say, I've been pretty stumped by this piece overall. I have ventured into territory for which I'm not totally well equipped, but we'll see where it goes. I know how to do some of the things here. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's just, I start a lot of pieces where it's just, maybe clear at a certain point that it's not quite working well as a whole. And, it's always good to be able to recognize that and to move on to other things if needed. Let's go back to this background here. Start creating some architectural elements here. I think this perspective is a little bit wonky here. So I'm just going to shift that a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's not right. Yeah, maybe the whole perspective of this thing is a little bit off. That's totally possible. Still got these fruit flies hanging around. I don't know where they're coming from, but they are determined to get between me and this microphone. Bring out my building brush here. It'll help us get some more clean lines along these surfaces. Wherever it's needed, just to kind of help reinforce the perspective a bit. Well, to be honest, I'm not quite feeling this one anymore. And that's, you get that from time to time. I probably have way more pieces that I don't like so much. I probably created way more work that I wasn't totally satisfied with than work that I was. But I mean, the good news is it can always get better. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've been sort of fighting my intuition on this one for a long time. And it's just not quite coming together. I think I had a really great setup at the beginning there. I think of everything here. I mean, if we just got rid of this would this would be a pretty I think this section here I really dig what's going on here. I think just in terms of we got the hard edges just contrasting nicely with this texture. There are a lot of clear forms. This silhouette is just defined enough to create an impression, to serve its role in the image overall. And I think I'm just I could just blow this whole thing up and make it a new painting if I wanted. I'm definitely struggling to find definition in the rest of the areas. And I think I had some I think I just sort of didn't take the time to map out the perspective quite as well as I would like as well. And so and then there's this piece which I think I've just been I'm glad to hear you were pleased with the face here, Jose. And it's definitely not quite as horrendous as it was before, but I think just in terms of my feel and my attitude towards this piece right now, I think it's just I'm recognizing that maybe time to start something else and maybe leave this one in the dust, which that's it is what it is. But I think I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. Let's start something else next week. Maybe I'll do another one this week. I do really enjoy doing these live streams with you guys, and I really appreciate you tuning in and asking your questions and giving me feedback on this stuff. It's helping me grow as an artist, and I hope it's also helpful for you. And it's also very humbling for me to be sort of live with this stuff and to have my flaws as well as my successes be present for you guys. So I hope you take that and find that helpful as well. And if you do experience that yourself as an artist, whoops, I just keep pressing the undo button here by accident. Yeah, if you do experience, I mean, everyone experiences this in their creative process. We all have our own standards for excellence, and it's just, I guess if there's anything to take away from this, it's to know when to stop and to know when to move on. If you're not quite feeling it, I think I put a solid close to 4 hours into this, and if it's not giving you anything back at that point, maybe it's time to move on. But and I think there are some ideas here that I can carry over to another piece perhaps, and take it from there. So I'm glad you all are pleased with this one, and And thank you for joining me, Nick and Jose. It's always nice to see you guys pop up here and have some great feedback. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up, and I hope you all have a good night, and I will update you when I have another one of these coming out, or when I'm just going to jump in here and start a new piece. All right, take care, guys.